Matthew Knies just signed a 6-year, $46 million contract that, from just about every publication, is considered a steal for Toronto. 29 goals, 58 points as a 22-year-old. There were only 2 players in the 2021 draft class with more points than Knies this season, and only 1 player with more goals. And yet, there's a growing concern with Knies around the hockey world about whether or not this young, homegrown power forward really is a future superstar, or if he's just gotten the right chances at the right time, masquerading as a hero that Toronto needs in a time of turmoil. Is Matthew Knies as good as people say, or is the analytical profile a little riskier than people will let on? I need you to appreciate how much I love Matthew Knies as a player. Toronto hasn't had a big-bodied power forward who can get involved in the forecheck at an elite level or score net front goals at an elite rate in a long time. The last time you could find someone bigger than Knies who played hockey about as well as him was Nikolai Antropov in the late 2000s, but his best as a Maple Leaf was only 26 goals. I don't think it's a stretch to say Knies is the best power forward since Matt Sundin for Toronto. Damn, that's a lot of value to get out of their second-round pick in 2021. In a draft that felt like an absolute crapshoot at the time. Toronto picked up Knies 57th overall before he went to University of Minnesota at what turned out to be the perfect time. Knies joined what, in my opinion, was the best college team of the decade. In just 2 seasons of D1 hockey, he played with Logan Cooley, Jimmy Snuggerud, Brock Faber, Jackson Lacombe, and Ryan Johnson, all NHL regulars, and a couple of them are borderline all-stars already. That team went 29-10-1 in their final college year, a truly stacked roster that lost only to the Adam Fantilli, Frank Nazar, Michigan program in the championship game. Quick shout out to Rhett Pitlick for scoring an all-time goal in the championship game too. Holy smokes, guy. Before entering the NHL, Knies was seen as the third wheel on an unreal Cooley, Snuggerud, Knies first line. All-skill playmaker, one of the best snipers in the league, and a power forward who can retrieve pucks and battle in the net front at a really high level. Knies went on to make the NHL right before Toronto's playoff run, and in 10 games he kind of shattered expectations. The next year in his rookie season, he had 35 points and was obviously the Leafs' best U23 player. This past year, he took that jump to 29 goals, 29 assists, 58 points as a 22-year-old power forward who finished 3rd on the Leafs in hits. He's arrived. Part of this success was due to the fact that he got to play with an all-skill playmaker and one of the best snipers in the league. Okay, so this is where the issue comes in. Before being drafted, Knies wasn't really considered a strong point producer. In college, he plays with this specific archetype of a line, and all of a sudden, he's one of the best point producers in college. He plays on the exact same style of line in the NHL, and he keeps up these point totals. Is there a trend here? But okay, we're just talking about it from an on-paper perspective right now. If you actually watch him play, you'll see how obviously good Knies' forechecking game is at the NHL level. He ranks 2nd behind Austin Matthews in play extension rate, a stat which tracks how often you can keep the puck in the offensive zone after your team gives up possession. The stat isn't perfect, but it helps illustrate that even against the hardest defensive opposition, the Leafs have no winger who's better at keeping the play alive in the offensive zone. That's because Knies can leverage his massive frame so effectively. He's a smart player and he knows how and when to soak contact to protect the puck. Pair with this his honestly great hands, and he wins these offensive puck battles way more often than not for Toronto. Against Florida this year in the playoffs, he's got about 1 second to make a decision against Selke nominee Sam Reinhart coming in to strip him of the puck. After spotting Jones going backdoor, preventing the cycle option, Knies drops his shoulder to get into a ground and pound battle with Reinhart. He wins the first battle before 6'6" Nico Mikkola offers support. Even against a double team, Knies can protect the puck and prevent both the Selke nominee and the 6'6" defenseman from gaining possession. Matthews comes to help at the right time and the puck lands back into Toronto's hands. See, Matthew Knies has the kind of combination of frame, speed, and quick hands that means he can go wide on Gustav Forsling, one of the best defensive defensemen in hockey, and he can keep possession alive while getting stapled to the boards. Simply put, you trust him along the wall, as well as anyone on Toronto, and he's only going to get better at this as he gets older. If we're talking specifically how he gets better, it'll have to be thinking 1 step ahead a little bit more often. This play kind of speaks to his potential here, where if the playmaking was a little bit stronger, maybe he could consistently do this and become a major setup man for Matthews in the future. Right now, he's winning battles at a great rate and is one of the better forecheckers in the league, but he doesn't necessarily turn it into the right play often enough. Compare him to someone like Barkov, who can regularly win puck battles and be ready to set up a man in the slot with a gained possession. You see the chasm between a forechecking playmaker and a forechecking finisher. But in a perfect world, okay, you don't need Knies to be the setup man because he is that finisher. That's his identity. To be a great goal scorer, you have to consistently find these good looks or you have to finish your looks when you get them. Okay, there's a lot of different ways to put up 30 goals in an NHL season, but there aren't many guys who can do it consistently without having one of these traits. I say consistently because even after scoring 29 goals in the regular season and 5 in the playoffs, I still think that if Knies doesn't get any better at finding his own open looks, he's not going to be putting up 30 goals anytime soon. Okay, if we look at every Toronto Maple Leaf in the salary cap era up until this year who have had 20 or more goals in a season, and then we sorted these players by their shooting percentage, which is how often their shots went in, you can put every single player on this list into the category of either they were Austin Matthews, they played with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, or they fell off the next year. Knies isn't Austin Matthews, so he can't be Austin Matthews. Knies also can't play with Matthews and Marner next season unless he figures out a way to fly Mitch back from Vegas. So what does that leave us with? Now this isn't conclusive, and the science here was done on a laptop and not in a lab, but it points to the bigger issue here that Knies having a near 20% shooting percentage is not sustainable. 20% doesn't sound that high, but it really is. It's not something people just do multiple years in a row regularly. Think about it this way, okay? The only way to get that high of a shooting percentage is to either 1, score more goals, which, that's the point of hockey. Everyone's kind of trying to do that. Or 2, you take fewer shots. You can see this when looking at the guys who consistently hit around 20% shooting on a year. They're all unreal playmakers. The reason they shoot at such a high rate, as in their shooting percentage is high, is because they're only shooting when there is a good chance. Draisaitl, Point, Pettersson, guys who are at the top of the league in creating chances, and what you'll find is that these guys are also power play point producers, dual threat options who can score and play make. Sure, these guys are the exception. Knies cannot drive play at that rate. When he has 150 shots in a season, it's not because he was dishing backdoor layups for Chris Tanev, it's because he doesn't get the puck in a dangerous area enough. Okay, but he's a net front guy, so let's look specifically at that. 22 of his 29 goals this season came from ultra high danger areas on the ice. Of those 22 goals he scored, it came at a relatively efficient rate. 27% of his 81 high danger chances were goals this year. So that's a pretty high rate, but the rate isn't impossible to replicate. What might be impossible to replicate of those stats, however, is even getting 81 high danger scoring chances to begin with. Every single one of these players on your screen finished with fewer high danger scoring chances than Knies had this season. Whatever excuses you have, let him be. The most favorable way to look at this is that Knies is great at getting to the net front. He can finish these chances at a strong NHL level, but he's also someone who definitely benefits from elite playmaking and is someone who, just through virtue of luck in sports, might not shoot at that crazy high figure again next season. Okay, silver lining time. This year, I actually think Matthews' playmaking is inherently good enough to keep finding Knies in these strong positions. Marner was better, but whatever, man. I mean, the guy had to go. Matias Maccelli was picked up this summer, and I think as a pure playmaker, budget Mitch Marner, yeah, he can work with Matthews and Knies. The spirit of the line is there, but be serious here. Maccelli ain't ever been Marner. Another silver lining might be a year of growth and more opportunity to try to handle the puck. Could spark something in his game, but we're just guessing here. Like I said earlier, maybe he becomes good at playmaking off the boards. Maybe that becomes one of his main skills. He was pretty good at it in college, but the NHL game is a lot faster than the college game. Despite having some pretty sick looking passes here and there, he's not got the finesse or consistency to do this night in and night out. In fact, there isn't a single statistic that you can find that will say that Knies is an above average playmaker on the rush or in open ice. Overall, and this part might be getting overshadowed, Knies is one of the best goal scoring net front guys in the league. The talent is there. He's got a huge frame and great hands and he knows where to go, but you can be the most talented net front guy in the world. If you aren't getting the puck in a dangerous area, you ain't scoring. Knies had a world of opportunity last year. This year, it definitely will not come as easy. Another point that might get exposed this season is that, hey, Matthew Knies was easily the worst defensive forward on that top line. Yeah, they're both Selke nominated players he's playing with, so I'll give him a little bit of grace here, but I mean, Knies was never exceptional and was subject to lapses throughout the course of the season. He's young for sure, and he's getting faster as he's getting older, but missed coverage was common enough that it's not really a positive in his game at this point. Although, to be fair, the advanced stats say his defensive play is good. Sometimes with a winger who's next to these exceptionally talented defensive players, these stats don't have as much weight, to me personally. I could be wrong, but this definitely feels like one of those times to me. So you've seen the good, you've seen the bad, but unfortunately with Knies, there's an ugly that I've been hinting at. When Knies is not on the ice with Matthews and Marner, he is not a first line player at all. The Leafs have been outscored more often than not, outchanced more often than not, outshot more often than not, out everything more often than not in the minutes that Knies played without Matthews on his line throughout his entire career. Damn, that's really tough. And that is probably the biggest reason why I don't think his $7.75 million per season is a steal. It's just value. If he can't create on his own and he's only putting up 58 points in a season while playing a strong utility role, yeah, his contract is just about right, you know? Okay, I got a little heated up there. I'll give some pushback to these numbers, okay? On-off data, like these stats I just used, aren't perfect. Knies is supposed to be playing with Matthews on almost any given night, and that means that if they aren't playing together, it could be because the team is playing terribly and the coach is shuffling the lines. Or it could be that Matthews got the chance to change while Knies had to stay out there and he played a 1-minute bagged shift defending against McKinnon. It's not like Knies is practicing a ton without Matthews either. He's supposed to be a first liner, he's prepping to be a first liner. The data is a little muddy as a result, but the sample is pretty big, man. I don't know. Let's see how he does next season without Marner. Overall, this is still a super exciting time for Leafs fans. It's just a new era. Marner's gone and man, Toronto's gonna miss him in the regular season, but if there's a new identity being forged where players like Knies get rewarded for putting their hearts on the line, maybe this Leafs team can actually make some noise in the playoffs. Real noise. Matthew Knies is going to be 23 years old for this entire upcoming season. Let's see if he's going to improve on his playmaking, defensive consistency, and finding open ice, or if he's going to be due for a bit of a regression. The kind of regression Toronto fans might be pretty vocal about in year one of a 6-year contract. Let's hope for the best.